Here's a quick and easy way to make matching family vacation shirts using your Ikonart custom stencil kit. So of course, first you have to make your stencil. So you just print your design, then you expose your stencil using the stand, and then you just wash it out. Once your stencil is washed out, you dry it and post expose it, and then you're ready to start screen printing. Whenever I'm making my shirts in bulk, I like to put a tacky mat in every single shirt before I start screen printing. This really helps to prep the shirts and makes it a lot quicker to go between shirts. The tacky mat just helps to protect from bleed between the two layers of shirt, the front to back, and it also holds my shirt in place. So it removes all those wrinkles and makes screen printing so much easier. I never skip this step. I always use a tacky mat every single time I screen print. So I just cut a notch in my stencil, remove the backer, and start making my shirts. I'm using Speedball fabric ink today. This is a water-based ink that works really well with our stencils. I'm using our black silicone squeegee, and I just add the ink, kind of like I'm buttering bread, smooth it across my stencil, make sure I get it in all of those openings, and then I remove the excess ink so that there's no lines on my stencil, and just put that excess right back in the container. It works really well. And then once the shirts are dry, you just heat set them with an iron, and then the ink is completely, safe to be washed in the wash machine. You can see here I'm using a little like t-shirt guide. I just got this from Amazon. This helps me to center the stencil side to side and also gives me a guideline for how far down I want them from the neck. I really like using these t-shirt guides whenever I screen print shirts. It really helps me to kind of center things and really helps with the placement. So obviously you can see here how I do it is I just remove my stencil, I set it on this paper towel that I have off to the side, I move my shirt to the floor to dry, and then I do my next design or my next shirt. And today I'm only doing 7 shirts, but I also have another video on YouTube showing where I did 20 shirts in a row without washing my stencil out in between. I've also seen people mount their, stencils to a screen printing frame in order to make the process a little bit easier. I find that just, using it free like this works for me. But if you want to tape it on top of a screen printing frame, you can. Then you're just screen printing through 2 layers of mesh since our stencil film has mesh in it already, but it does work. You can also remove the mesh from a screen printing frame and tape our stencil to the frame instead. I've also seen that done. So there are a couple different options, but this works completely fine for me for just, family shirts like this. And I like doing it this way because I can remove the stencil really slowly. And if I notice like any areas aren't perfect or missing any like there, then I can just put my stencil back down and it's in the exact same spot, where that would be a little bit trickier if I was just using a frame without a screen printing press. So this is my last shirt, and just wanted to show you guys that the last one looks just as good as the first one. So I'm removing all my ink here. I'll just set my stencil off to the side, make sure my hands are clean. It's always tricky when you're doing this, just to make sure you don't have ink on your fingers when you're touching stuff. But there you go. This is my setup. You can see a little better. I have my stencil on this paper towel. Here's the ink I'm using, the Speedball Opaque White. Looks great on this gray color. I really like it. And there you go. You can see that my last design looks just as good as my first. All those details held. Looks so good. I love that I don't have to weed any vinyl with Ikonart stencils, and you get these really fine detailed designs. So these are just like a couple things that my parents are doing on their road trip. So I made them this custom design. That looks great. And now we'll move on to the backs. So I did let the fronts dry completely before moving on to the backs. And I didn't really have a ton of time because I was, of course, procrastinating on making these. So I did use a hair dryer to help me speed up drying the fronts, and that worked just fine. So now I'm stenciling the backs of the shirts the exact same way that I did the fronts. So nothing really new here. And obviously I have this video sped up so that we're not here all day, but the backs of the shirts took me about 10 minutes and the fronts of the shirts took me about 17 minutes. And that's just because the design is bigger. So, it took a little longer to get all the ink on the stencil and, spread it across and remove the ink and all that stuff. But yeah, so in under 30 minutes, I screen printed both the front and back of these shirts, and now they have custom shirts for their vacation. So for a cost breakdown, each shirt was $4 from Hobby Lobby, and the stencils were about $4.48 to make, which would be 64 cents per shirt. So for $4.64, we have completely custom family vacation shirts printed front and back. And here you can see them in action in St. Louis on their vacation. They look great. Hope you had a great time, Mom and Dad.